Chapter 5: Rise of the Philippine Nationalism. The objective is: Number 1, identify the factors that led to the political, economic, and intellectual awakening of the Filipinos. The number 2, show the patterns of economics development in the Philippines as they were influenced by new form of global trade and communication. And then number 3, gain deeper insight on the meaning of liberalism in relation to growth of Philippine nationalism. Letter A is oppressive colonial policies and native responses. The number 1 is common grievance. Common grievances. The Spanish friars committed abuse and exploitation such as excessive interference in the native daily life, corporal punishment for the slightest offense, sexual molestation or native women's, onerous fees that pass religious obligation, land grabbing, and the native virtual reduction to slave and servant. Tunay na ang mga praling Espanyol ay lubusang abusado pagdating sa kanilang pamamaraan at pamamahala. Ang mga ito ay nakikialam sa mga buhay ng mga lokal. Sila ay nagtala ng iba't ibang sala sa mga Pilipino, tulad ng hindi makatarungan na parusa, mabibigat na pagmulta, maski ang paggagahasa at pagnanakaw ng lupa at pag-aalipin. Sila rin ang namahala sa sapilitang pagtatrabaho, pagbayad ng buwis at pagkumpiska ng mga pag-aari. Makikita mula dito ang mga hindi karapat-dapat na pamamahala at pag-abuso sa kanila. Number 2 is early uprising. Prior to the 1896 revolution, the Philippines had staged more than 100 revolts due to the untold grievances against the Spaniards. Although the uprising did not bring about any significant result, yet the experience, according to Constantino, were not totally lost. Participants in revolts made the Filipinos aware of their strength and gave them an education struggle. Sa kadahilanan ng abusado at korap na pamahalaan ng Espanyol Pilipinas, ang mga tao nito ay nagsimulang tumayo sa sarili nitong paa at lumaban sa kanilang kalayaan. Nagdaan ng maraming pagtatangka ng mamamayan upang maisagawa ang pagkontrol sa pamahalaan at mabago ang sistema. Ngunit ang mga ito ay hindi naging sapat. Nagbigay ng bagong paniniwala at lakas ng loob upang magising at maghangad ng pagbabago sa bulok na sistema ng mga Espanyol. Dito nagmumula ang kanilang pag-asam ng bagong buhay at mula sa pagkakaisa. Then letter B is external political forces. Si Francis na po bahala mag-refer. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mark. Next is external political forces. Progressive European ideologies has contributed much in the intellectual awakening of the Filipinos. First is the ideas of enlightenment or the age of reason spread through European countries. So what is the age of enlightenment? According to Wikipedia, the age of enlightenment was an intellectual and philosophical movement that dominated the world of ideas, so that the world of ideas spread through European countries. These were the principle of individual freedom or individual liberty and greater freedom empowered by thinkers like John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau, or binigyang kapangyarihan nitong dalawa na to ang individual freedom or liberty. Sino nga ba tong dalawa na to? These thinkers write as early modern social contract theories and both promote reason and freedom as essential components of political societies. Letter B is the French Revolution promoted the ideas of freedom, equality, and brotherhood or fraternity that led to the growth of liberalism in the Western Europe and including Spain. So what is the French Revolution? According to Britannica, the French Revolution was a period of major social upheaval that began in 1787 and ended in 1799. It sought to completely change the relationship between the rulers and those they governed and to redefine the nature of political power. So this French Revolution promoted the freedom or kalayaan, equality or pagkapantay-pantay, and fraternity or brotherhood, pagkakaisa, that led to the growth of liberalism or individual rights in Western Europe, including Spain. Letter C. Liberalism in Spain had significant impact on its colonies, particularly in the Philippines. The triumph of the liberals in Spain gave rise to the Constitution of Cadiz of 1812. So what is the Constitution of Cadiz of 1812? According to Encyclopedia, Spanish Constitution adopted by the Constituent Cortes in Cadiz on March 19, 1812, during the Spanish Revolution of 1808 to 1814. The Constitution declared that sovereignty resides in the nation, which retains the exclusive right to establish its own fundamental law, which extended human rights not only to Spaniards of the peninsula, but to all the subjects of Spain. So liberalism in Spain had significant impact in Philippines, and the triumph of the liberals in Spain gave rise to establish its own fundamental law and extended human rights, not only in the Spaniards Peninsula, but also all the subjects in Spain. Lastly, letter D, liberalism spread in the Philippines with the arrival of liberals and the related reading materials. If you don't know the meaning of liberalism, liberalism means political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. And thus liberalism spread in the Philippines. Next, letter C, 19th century economic development. And ang magre-report ay si Harris Delfin. Ikaw na, brother.
Thank you, Francis Castilla. Letter C, 19th century economics development. The Philippine response to the growth and the development of trade, commerce, and industry in Europe. A. Opening of the Philippines International Commerce. September 6, 1834, Philippines opened the world trade by a royal decree and declared the Royal Company of the abolished and opened Manila ports to world trades. The country shifted from mercantilism to laissez-faire, which brought economic transformation and new social order, and abolition of the galleon trades. The expansion of Philippine trades and opening of new ports stimulated foreign demand of Philippines product, boost agriculture with the rapid development and regionalization of cash crop. Letter B. The rise of the enlightened middle class. A few Filipinos and mestizos sought a new economic opportunity and eventually improved the economic status, thus formed the middle class and improved national leadership. Not even before the 19th century. The 19th century times families were much larger than today. That was partly because infant mortality was high. People have many children and accept that not all the would survive. But some of the Filipino families that gained prominence in the 19th century have to continue to play an important role in the Philippines' economics and politics. Letter C. Improvement in transportation and communication facilities brought about by the demand of promising commercial activity. The construction and rehabilitation of more bridge and roads, and the improvement of mail service, all of this, the natives become more aware of their plight. The improvement in transportation is rapid growth of factories and significant development of the new technology to increase agriculture product. Letter D. Opening of the Suez Canal. November 17, 1869. The Suez Canal was opened to navigation. Ferdinand de Lesseps. When it opened, the Suez Canal was only 25 feet deep and 72 feet wide to the bottom and 200 to 300 feet wide at the surface. Letter E. This was a milestone in navigation and maritime industry. Shortened the route between the among continent and countries, thus facilitated more interaction and democracy and political development in Europe. The maritime history of Europe represents the era of recorded human interaction with the sea in the northern western region and of Eurasia in areas that include shipping and shipbuilding and military installation and lighthouse constructed to protect our aid navigation and the development of Europe. Europe is situated between several navigable sea and intersected by navigable rivers running into them in a way which greatly facilitated the influence of maritime traffic and commerce. Letter F. The establishment of British and American business firm in the Philippines. The growing of the trade in the Philippines is because of easy steam sailing navigation because of opening of Suez Canal. By 1856, there were 13 foreign trading firms in Manila, of which 7 were British and 2 Americans between 1855 and 1873. The Spanish opened the new ports to foreign trade including Iloilo on Panay, Zamboanga in the western portion of Mindanao, Cebu on Cebu, and Legazpi in the Bicol area of southern Luzon. Letter G. England, the United States become the principal trading partners of the Philippines. Englishmen established bank in Manila and some progressive province in the country, while American firms engaged in the export-import business and in the sale of U.S. manufactured merchandise. Some Englishmen established their banks here in the Philippines because they know it can gain more interest also in American establishing manufactured merchandise here, since they know the Filipino will buy an imported product and it can easily travel to export and import to the other country. And letter D is 19th century political development. Si Steve Tan na po ang bahalang mag-report.
19th century political developments. Secularization and Filipination, the Royal Decree of 1774 ordering the circulation, parishes encouraged more the royal natives to enter priesthood. The Filipino priest sharpened their awareness, their separate identity, which their parishioners also became conscious about. The leaders of the circulation movement were Father Palaez, Burgos, Gomez, and Zamora. The liberal administration of Gov. Carlos Maria de Torres, the Philippines experienced how to live under a liberal regime. He was loved admired by the Filipinos, he passed a number of decrees granting certain individual rights to the natives. C. The Cavite Mutiny and Martyrdom of Gomburza. Gov. Rafael de Izquierdo, who replaced Gov. de la Torre, abolished the privilege the workers at Fort Santiago San Felipe in Cavite, which led to a mutiny led by Sergeant Lamadrid. The three Price, Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora were suspected as behind the mutiny. They were arrested, given a mock trial, and publicly garroted. All three protested their innocence to the end. Thank you.